Rightio, champ. So why this one?
Because I watched it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I had heard of this movie when it first came out in 1999, and it sounds interesting. The opening, sort of the synopsis and the description, it all sounds really cool. But you don't get too far into it before you say it's based on a book by Michael Crichton, and I was a huge Crichton fan. I read a lot of his books, but I'd never read this one. So I've always held off on watching it. And a couple of months ago, I finally got around to reading the book. This movie's based on a book called Eaters of the Dead. It's a early Michael Crichton novel published in the early 70s. I think it was his, although when I say early, I think it was his fifth or sixth book. He'd written some crime novels as well under a pen name, but the book was terrific. It's a very lean book. Michael Crichton's books were really lean. He wrote really quickly back in the day, and it's a really smart, well executed novel. And I really enjoyed watching the film. Because I always held off because obviously books and films adaptations can be very, very different to each other. I wanted to get his original story first because he was heavily involved in the making of this as well. He will get to it sort of in time, but he stepped in to do some directing work after McTiernan had left, even though McTiernan retains the final credit. And yeah, and I've also had an interest in the story of Beowulf, and this is Crichton's take on it. So all those things kind of coalesced into thinking this might be a good film for discussion.
Yeah, and they've had a couple of different cracks at the mythos of Beowulf, haven't they?
Yeah, it's one of our oldest stories. I think it's Scandinavian in origin, but it's one of the most influential pieces of literature in human history. It's one of the earliest, if not the earliest, surviving fragment of early human civilization. It's a fascinating story and a fascinating behind the scenes story, Beowulf. But yeah, there have been many, many adaptations of it. The other one that springs to mind is the 2007 one that Robert Zemeckis did. But there's been television adaptations as well, and cartoons and animated shows. And so Crichton did something really clever. He did a more sort of grounded take on the story of Beowulf, but he wrapped it up in the manuscript of a man called Ibn Fadlan. Hope I haven't murdered that translation, who was sent on a mission by the Caliph of Baghdad on this mission, and he falls in with a group of Northern warriors who are riding to assist this village that's under siege by these monsters, the monsters of the mist. And it all sounded just so interesting and cool. And yeah, I've had a blast over the last couple of weeks and months, sort of diving into this story.
Because one thing that really sort of got me about this, like Beowulf is something that will always sort of, get most of the spotlights on it. But I found it quite interesting that while he is sort of featured in this story, it's almost like in a reactionary sort of way. Like it's
Yeah, it's
like we follow
yeah,
Ahmed for for the film. He is the titular character of this, but it's almost like Beowulf's sort of connection to this story that we're seeing now unfold. It's almost purely by circumstance. Like it's not really about him, but it definitely takes him on board.
yeah, very much. So that's a really good observation. Very true to the book as well. It's told from Ibn Fadlan's point of view, and it recounts this adventure, these journeys he wrote down. And yeah, and Beowulf, or as it's sort of pronounced in the book and the film, Bullwife or Bully Wife. I'll probably use those names interchangeably. It was hard for me to sort of read that in my mind. I just thought, screw it, I'm calling him Beowulf.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Like I don't say Sirathung. Yeah, like it's not Kirathungal. It's Sirathungal because it sounds cooler.
Yeah, Tolkien fans' sphincters are tightening as we speak.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't care. I actually quite like this sort of like this smash cut between the two cultures. Like we just saw Ibn getting sent out and all of that, and the sort of palaces and the architecture and how he's reacting to things around him. Like especially when the actual ship was coming in the river, and he says that he's an ambassador, and then just drop him in the middle of it, which is essentially what happens because he didn't really want to sign up to do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that's right. It's the culture clash and him not being a notable warrior and getting swept up into these events, and we're getting a bit of an insight into the Northman's culture, particularly in this scene here. This is all very true to Crichton's take on the story, how they would place the body with all the riches on the ship, and they would have a live slave that would volunteer to die to be with them. It
Mm.
was, yeah, it's
Well,
very peculiar, isn't
well, it's less permanent than getting their name tattooed, right?
it?
Well, just with Michael Crichton, I found this quite because what really caught my eye about it when you recommended it was the fact that it did come from a Michael Crichton novel, and
Yeah.
for what, yeah, I mean, because this was 23 something as far as Eaters of the Dead go. I mean, things like Jurassic Park and Micro and the Andromeda, all of
Mm.
that was like almost a life sentence away before any of that was published. So to
Yeah,
see
I've
Michael Crichton's name on something Beowulf inspired, like you almost have to do a double take sometimes. It's quite a departure from what he would be known for later.
yeah, well, I think some of that um stems from they changed the title. So, like I mentioned, the book is called Eaters of the Dead. That's not a very marketable title, though. I tend to prefer the title of the film. It's a bit more ambiguous, and like you mentioned, Antonio Banderas is the title character. So, the genesis of the book I was reading, it started out as a bit of a dare in 1974 in a discussion with a friend of his. His friend proposed to teach a college course on great books or great uh, texts, pivotal to Western civilization, but were boring. And his friend thought Beowulf, the epic poem, was was one of those boring texts, and Crichton disagreed. He says he went home and started working on notes that same day. Um, he wanted to do his own take and prove his friend wrong that Beowulf is an incredible story. There are the three in the Beowulf epic. There's three major monsters. The first is Grendel, a monster that attacks the mead hall. Beowulf defeats him by tearing off his arm, and this incurs the wrath of Grendel's mother. And Beowulf then has another mission to defeat her, and then ends up fighting a dragon by the story's end. And how Crichton interprets and studies them and his take on them, I found incredibly fascinating, particularly the dragon one. It's a nice twist. Now, this disgusting,
I was gonna say,
um,
I love how Ibn here is like totally sober,
yeah,
but the rest of them, as awesome as it was to show off their drinking prowess and how awesome they are and Norse folk are for the win. I mean, I've had some monster hangovers in my day. Never once have I ever come close to doing what they're doing
yeah,
now.
and this is part of their culture.
Yeah.
Because I read it in the book and it didn't faze me, but it's so disgusting the way they spit and slag into this bowl and then pass it to the next person to use.
Oh.
I almost did a dry heave watching it for the first time. Seeing it depicted visually really, I was not impressed.
Wipe the blood off, lick it. It's a little bit like that, isn't it? Well, one thing that I really like because the film doesn't really give us the time frame, but I believe Eaters of the Dead does
Yes.
tell us when this. So what this is like? What is this like 10th century or something?
Yeah, the year's 922 AD, yeah.
Yeah, the film doesn't really do much along the lines of explaining when this is.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it feels such an ancient time, but we saw those earlier shots of Baghdad, and look at how advanced it was for the time. It's
Mm.
pretty astonishing, like the progress of human history, because I never would have thought Baghdad would look that immaculate for that century, but I'm not a history professor, so
Oh well, neither am I, but I can give it a red hot crack.
I played one on TV.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, can't I just pretend?
Yeah.
It's interesting, like you know, when you have these people from different walks of life and all of that. I love how at this particular point in time, like superstition was everything back in early
Yeah.
civilization, wasn't it? Like, I mean, we just had the term angel of death and fortune
Yeah.
tellers, and everyone's praying to their own gods, and you know,
Yeah.
like
Allegedly
superstition is just
every
everywhere.
Yeah, allegedly every village or every community had their own designated angel of death where they would read the signs and portents. The Northerners, of course, they worship the Norse gods, Odin and Thor and
Yeah,
Loki, and they believe when they die they'll go to Valhalla, which is their version of paradise.
yeah.
It's just all incredible stuff. I love reading about this sort of stuff.
I
And
absolutely
they,
love the camera just jumping around to everyone who's just signing up
yeah,
for
it's a
this.
terrific scene. 13 as well was a um, very important number in their culture. They placed a lot of emphasis and significance on the number 13, and it's specifically the 13th companion had to be a foreigner,
Yeah.
which as they look around this tent, they're running out of options. Um, and it's great how he doesn't really understand yet what's about to happen. And there's a very clever scene coming up shortly where he gets over the language barrier, but it's really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
these warriors volunteering and they need 13 and the 13th companion, the 13th warrior cannot be one of them.
I find it just with the language barrier, real quick. I love it when movies find a way to do this, and that is all of the characters around our protagonist are speaking English, but it's hard to understand even if you are incredibly fluent with that language. I love
Yeah.
it when they do that because, like, there's a very cool video that floats around on YouTube. Like, what does English sound like to a foreigner? And the two people in the video are speaking English. You know what they're saying, but you don't at the same time. You know the words they're using, but it keeps getting lost in the shuffle all the time. And this movie does a very good job of that as well in this beat.
Yeah. In the book, Ibn Fadlan has a companion named Herga. In the book, he learns a little bit of their language, but never kind of becomes fluent in it. And his translator slash companion ally sort of stays with him the whole book, but visually that's not interesting cinema. So there's
Mm.
this really clever way how McTiernan does this, where they address it and they give it some screen time, and then we're all on the same page going forward.
Yeah, because you'd have to have an additional character re-explain something to the main character that the audience already knows, because the audience can speak the language. So
Yes, that's right.
you're really burning up pages of a script and film time. Like, it's easier to just amalgamate those two aspects together into one character and just get us back on track.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. And you do the heavy lifting early,
Yeah.
with the scene we just had with the translator before he starts to pick up the language himself. And yeah, it works fine for a book, but visually it's not that exciting. He needs to start pulling his own weight
I love how they
and
mock
and
him
try
for.
and keep up with them.
I love how they're mocking him for sort of being the runt of the litter. And
Yeah.
I know Ibn has this moment later where he proves that he's the most agile out of the group. Because, like as you were saying before, like, he's not a seasoned warrior the way the rest of them are, and he even says that verbatim in the film as well, that he's not a warrior.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, whereas the rest of them, like, that's clearly the only reason they're going on this is to spill blood.
Yeah, and it's a hard journey as well. And it really shines through in this scene here. They travel for a long time, days, weeks, months, holidays. it's a long journey to go to Rothgar.
There never seems to be a shortage of the grog, though.
Yeah, Med, and yeah, and how he hates the taste of it, but and it's another clue about how much time has passed. So it's somewhat plausible what's going on here, him picking up the lingo. He, over the course of the story, he does learn to like the Med or
Yeah, the
beer that they
mead.
drink.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
mead.
mead.
Um, yeah, I love the bloke. Did you catch the cup just before what he's drinking out of? It's like an elephant tusk.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like, all right, interesting. Yeah, like I know we've mentioned this a couple of times before, but night shoots. Like, I mean, I find it quite interesting that even at this day and age, shooting at night, like we still haven't really figured out a way to do that good, have we?
Yeah, it's if they take their time and really put the legwork in, you get some spectacular films. And yeah, it's kind of forgotten about in his sort of body of work, but it was directed by John McTiernan. I mean, his pedigree, like Predator, Die Hard, The Hunt for Red October. What an amazing purple patch for one guy. And this is an interesting fact. This came out in 1999 and was a flop, but
Mm.
he also had another movie come out in 1999, The Thomas Crown Affair, which was a huge hit with Pierce Brosnan. So, I mean, talk about feast and famine. Hey, in the a movie comes out and flops 2 or 3 months later, a movie that you did is a massive hit. It's what timing, eh?
Yeah, do listen to it. I suppose we should talk about Antonio here at this point. I mean, like 1998, 1999. Sorry, like is this
Mm.
So this would be post his Zorro.
Yeah, not by much though. I think Zorro was 98,
Yeah,
but so he's a great actor because he was very well established overseas. He had a huge career in Spanish films.
yeah,
And I think
and he still
Assassins, the
is. Yeah.
Stallone movie, was his first big Hollywood movie, and that was 95. So he was still somewhat getting established here, but yeah, he's been in many, many films in his in Spain. But yeah, this was sort of still early in his career for films in America.
Oh, Puss in Boots for the win, mate.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? He's just fantastic in it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I mean, because like I always thought though he kind of fell into the trap that we're seeing people like Javier Bardem fall into now. You just go, Spanish badass insert clip art. Like back then it was Antonio. These days you just insert Javier Bardem into everything. But I'm glad that Antonio managed to break out of that. I mean, like
Yeah,
he's a
well, I
talking
don't think
cat now, for
they.
God's sake.
Yeah, I don't think people. Filmmakers probably didn't understand just how talented he is. He can sing and dance as well. Um, Very good comedic timing, and there's some really good bits of subtle humor in this film. And off, yeah, Puss in Boots is a comedic role, and he's done some comedies as well. What was that stupid movie he was in with Daryl Hannah? I forget its name, but he's very funny in it.
I think it's the eyes though. Like whenever something dumb happens, he's got a very expressionable face. I think it's the eyes that does it.
Yeah,
I love how for like I mean he's just been listening to their drivel one too many times, so he decides to show them all up here.
yeah,
So well, this also shows that while their horses are bigger and all of that, because of all the junk that they're carrying, like they probably couldn't do this.
yeah.
Yeah, not to mention that they just drop calling him an Arab from time to time.
Yeah, yeah, all very true to the book.
Yeah.
As he's sort of slowly earning their respect.
I know some people really like their equestrian hobbies and all that kind of thing. Never in a million years would you ever get me on a horse.
Yeah.
I remember Bruce Spence said something once when they were doing Return of the King when he had to do that Mouth of Sauron bit, and he couldn't see where he was going because of the head design that they chose. But he made a good point in the behind the scenes going, I don't think you can be considered a real actor unless you know how to ride a horse. Um, I think that's a pretty cool rule that he's got there. I think that's true.
Well, yeah, and the broader point is the more skills you have, the more employable you'll be.
Yeah.
Um, you can audition for roles that require that skill. Um, yeah, like self-defense or another language. Um, the more skills you can accumulate, the more diversity in roles you can go for. So he's yeah, got a point in that respect. Particularly these genre actors where fantasy and science fiction and historical films and that are their bread and butter. Like those guys just seem to be in every single one of these movies. Um,
Yeah.
like that one guy who's in Braveheart and Troy and Lord of the Rings and everything, you know.
And check
Those
this
are,
out. Like, I mean, we've gone from like a scorching desert, to like a boat that's about to get capsized out at sea in the middle of a thunderstorm, and now we're in some Arctic tundra at the moment. Like, we've just had
yeah,
quite a larger, like we were in a marshland just before when Ibn was jumping over the stalks and all of that. Like, we just had quite a large palette of scenery to feast on in a matter of about three
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, it's really well done. Again, just to cement the idea that it was a difficult, long journey to get here. Yeah, you see it with the shifting environments as they finally arrive at Rothgar. Yeah, it's again, you can do it in the book a lot easier, but in and they did it really well for film over the course of a few minutes. A lot of time has elapsed.
See, this was something that we were talking about in our 65 discussion a while back, when Adam Driver's character is trying to communicate to Koa, and you made the point of when two people like really want to communicate, it is easy to get over a barrier. But when the other person is like their entire livelihood depends on going against you, they never want it. You'll never find a way to make it happen. And we're seeing here that it's proving the first part of that true is that now that they're starting to warm up to him a bit more, they're all putting in the effort to get over it.
Yeah, that's right. It's something I think it was mentioned on one of the documentaries on the Avatar Blu-ray where or something Jim Cameron said, yeah, if people want to understand each other's point of view, nothing will stop them. They'll find a way to communicate. But yeah, as you just said, if a person's agenda, you'll never make someone understand your point of view if their whole agenda depends on them not understanding. Um, so it was a really interesting comment. Yeah, I heard.
I tell you, this whole segment here at Rothgar, like it really stuck out to me on a rewatch. Again, going back into that sort of superstition and all of that. Like I was full. Like when I first watched this film, I was expecting a UFO to just rock up and aliens were gonna descend. Like
Yeah.
some of the stories that you're hearing from the locals, like when they're coming up, like there's no men around, like they've all been slain. Um, and like when they see all the women and children and all of that, like I was fully expecting some sci-fi psycho, just totally left field thing to happen. And even when it didn't, I still wasn't ruling it out.
Yeah, it's tremendous the way they build up the Wendell in the movie, the mist monsters. It's yeah, their fearsome reputation definitely precedes them. And yeah, you're either watching the film or reading the book, you're just sort of on the edge because they're this impending threat, you know it's coming. But yeah, as you just explained, we're not quite sure what it is. Everyone is terrified of them, and we don't really have a beat on what their true nature is yet. It's really cool.
I love some of the locations that rock up in this, and also, I mean, like it goes without saying, but like I've probably said this in every movie that we've ever covered. I'm a sucker for awesome set design, and this movie is full of it. Like it's just like a lot of the buildings and all of that. Like when they go inside this hall here, I really like the insides of this.
Yeah, it's what a tremendous set. Yeah, and the costumes, the detail, it's incredible.
I've often wondered, like, is there a like? I'm sure that there is. I'm sure someone can enlighten me on this. Is there one person whose sole job, like, I think I was going to mention this in the Mortal Kombat Annihilation discussion. Like, is there one person on set whose sole job is to keep the fires looking schmick? Like on set, like when there's like 900 flaming torches on a set, like you can't help but think, is there one person whose only job is to monitor those?
Yeah, more than likely it's maybe a set decorator or something like that to keep the flames going.
Yeah, no nonsense, mate. Just get right in there. I love some of the language that gets used as well, like in the, like angel of death, fire dragon, fire serpent.
Yeah,
Like it's like it really is sort of dark age talk. But I think though what happens with like a film like this and that sort of language is that like I mean like look at what's come out since then and where we are today going back on it, like you got your Games of Thrones, your Legend of Zeldas and all that kind of thing. When you go back on it, I think like subconsciously people apply those descriptive words and the names for things in a movie like this with the knowledge they have from other sort of sword and sorcery things. So like when
yeah,
when the
yeah, much
characters in the
so.
story say things like fire serpent, you're already imagining things that you might have seen from similar stories like that being true, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the 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 glowworm dragon Korgon. When I first heard that, I'm thinking something like Smaug or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so clever what it turns out to be. The actress here, I think her name's Diane Verona or Verona. She was Al Pacino's wife in Heat, and
Oh yeah,
she's
what
been in a few other things as well.
like the third
Justine,
wife
I
or
think.
fourth
Yeah,
wife?
yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
he's had a couple of
Um,
cracks at this.
yeah, I think she was in the remake of the Day of the Jackal as well. So, because I didn't, it's kind of unique out of all the films we've discussed. I don't recognize a lot of the cast in it. The guy who plays Bullwife or Beowulf, I've seen him in things, but I'm not really familiar with him. And a couple of the other actors in the 13. Yeah, I've seen them here and there, but yeah, I was surprised at myself for not recognizing or knowing a lot of
What
the cast in this.
one that stuck out to me was the redhead Tony Curran.
Yeah, okay.
He
Yeah.
stuck out to me because he is in the '04 Flight of the Phoenix remake with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But that was the only one that really stuck out to me. The rest of them, yeah, I was much for muchness in the same boat as you. Yeah. This, by the way, like, I mean, I was chilling out to this flick one night, sort of unwinding. My tension level shot up through the roof after this scene. And, like, Antonio pretty much, his reaction to going in there and what he finds and when he comes out is pretty much where I was at. Like, I was wide awake and fully with it again after that. And again, I hadn't ruled out some sort of creature feature twist.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised more films don't do it. It's such a good way to build tension, just having these eerie, empty sets. And you're just thinking, where the hell is everyone? Um, as he goes into has a look for himself.
Like and this is something as well. Like the Wendell, like I mean,
Mm.
their presence is very much felt. Yet I don't even think they even make their presence remotely known until about the hour in mark. Like it has them on a slow burn for quite a while, and I kind of wish things would do that again. Like you can't help but
Yeah,
think if it was
it's
done today, there'd be a massive Wendell attack in the first 5 minutes. Like the opening of like Ibn talking about how he was sent on this and he's an ambassador. That would be totally replaced if it came out today, and it would have opened up with the midway battle that we're about to see
yeah,
instead.
absolutely. Yeah. It's becoming a real lost art. Yeah, building tension and suspense. Um, and a lot of it is kind of quite deliberate, and not in a bad way. It's just trying to cater to the TikTok generation who don't really appreciate those sorts of um, sort of filmmaking techniques if if it's not sort of on their screen in a microsecond, they'll just flip to something else. So a lot of these techniques about building suspense and getting to know the characters and sort of setting up the sort of rules per se, um, and the rhythm of the movie, yeah, you don't often see it a lot these days.
Yeah, no, which
This
is something I always found quite bizarre was that the smaller the attention spans got of a general audience, the longer the runtime seemed to become. It was very, very strange time. But with recent releases and everything sort of coming back around the good old 2 hour mark, I think a lot of that is starting to end now.
Yeah, as they get sort of budgets back under control. Yeah, we're getting a couple of details on the Wendell, their idol or the or whatever that thing is that's yeah, it's all sort of very true to the story. It's a pregnant body with its limbs and head removed is this sort of idol that it appears a few times in the movie. They worship it, and it will become a bit clear towards the end the context of it. So we sort of know that they worship that idol. We know they come and go with the mist, and yeah, where we're going to learn soon that the mist is on its way.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
they
look at
never
that
come
stunning
outside of it.
vistas.
Um,
Yeah, that's right. They come and go.
which is good because
Um,
it has a bit of a tip off. Like I love before you even see the fire serpent. Like when
mm,
the fog's starting to close in, they all start freaking out.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, I love this. Well, it really is the calm before the storm this night because I believe they show up the next morning,
Yeah, it's terrific. Yeah, I love these slow builds.
which is really cool because like instead of the attacker like under the cover of darkness, well they've got the mist for that, so just attack them in broad daylight. Um, so like they're not at a
Yeah.
disadvantage.
Yeah, I wonder if now that I think of it, if George R. R. Martin cribbed that idea with his enemies, the others, they come when it's cold. Do they come when it's cold, or do they bring the cold? I wonder if he was sort of riffing on this phenomenon that the Wendell use.
Well, I'm working on a new manuscript. Mine's going to be called like A Song of Fire and Ice. See what I'm doing there? And that was something that was really cool after their first encounter. Like, I think even Beowulf himself says it. Like, there's no way after landing a hit like that that whatever it was that we did hit didn't die. But there's
Yeah,
but there's no
that's
body.
yeah, really cool. And yeah, they love their feasting and their drinking. There's lots of this happening.
Well, I love this moment here, like not drinking tonight, not tonight, because tomorrow's the day.
Yeah.
Um, it's almost like you know what it reminded me of. It reminded me of surviving the game. Don't want to be slow in the morning. Is
Yeah.
what it reminded me of. I mean, something tells me these guys, as much as they love their drink, they don't fight as good when they're hungover. Yeah, it's just not that bloke's day. I gotta say, I
Yeah.
think I think Banderas, without a doubt, has the most awesome costumes in this film.
Yeah, the costuming is amazing. It's always interesting to watch a movie that probably should have done better. But I guess we'll get into why the movie flopped a little bit later on. Because yeah, it sort of annoys me to no end. Shit movies that do well and good movies that flop. Because it's hard to find anyone that sort of has a bad word to say about it. You hear the word underrated a lot, or a hidden gem, but yeah, it did not do as well as they were probably hoping for.
Yeah, I mean it happens from time to time, I suppose. But what sort of competition did the film have though in '99?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I think why it sort of found it hard to stand out. It was sort of sandwiched between the first Star Wars movie in 16 years and The Matrix and the Blair Witch Project and Fight Club. They all changed the game. 1999 was such a pivotal year for movies, like just groundbreaking that set the tone for the rest of the decades to follow. I think this was much more conventional in its filmmaking. If it had come out a year or two earlier, it probably would have stood out more. It was probably just a little bit too late for this kind of movie to make an impact. But we'll stay with
Yeah,
this siege at the moment, where the company are gearing up, or preparing to bed down tight,
yeah,
rather.
yeah. Like what we do, it doesn't keep you up at night. Nah, not at all. And there's like a massive sword underneath their pillow. Look, that's not fear. That's a precaution. I mean, because like this is what's going to be Ibn's first real battle, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think he's no stranger to a sword. I mean, he can handle a sword in a rudimentary sense, but he would not on any level consider himself a warrior. But as the sort of story goes on, he gets many opportunities to um
Well,
the was it the quote, I don't know how to fight, well, you better learn, or something like that.
I really like the one thing that he says at the start of the film when the credits were still there. Like, I'm an ambassador. Like, it's my job to talk to people. And lo and behold, he's the first one to make an effort to get over the language barrier, and that remains true. Like, that's a skill that's constantly being developed over the whole movie.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like, one of the first things the character says is something that he does all the time throughout the film.
yeah, very much so.
I love it when they do that because nothing annoys me more in a film than when a character says something and they totally do nothing to back that up.
Yeah,
Too many movies
yeah,
do that.
yes, very much so. As the Wendell strike.
Yeah, I mean, like they're almost like, yeah, like I was saying, like for the longest time, I wasn't ruling out like these things were like vampires, zombies, like aliens. Um, like it started to give me those sort of feelings of like the troglodytes in Bone Tomahawk in a way. Like you're just
Yeah,
waiting for
okay.
some twist um,
Yeah,
with them.
yeah, that's right. Because the details are scant. We know they come with the mist. And there is some brief chatter in the story that they're bears, which we're sort of seeing here, where they just wear the fur of bears and the heads of bears as like a visor kind of thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, this is yeah, really good. This opening incursion. It's so well done
well,
in both
you
mediums.
got to do that to sort of test them a little bit, don't you? Like to know what you're walking in for. So you send a small group in there
Yeah.
to just sort of test what the I mean, because like you can't rule it out. There's no doubt in my mind that the Wendell watched the 13 arrive.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like they've got them dead to rights as far as numbers are concerned, but there's no
Yeah.
harm in making sure.
Yeah, that's right. For me it was my favorite sort of chapter of the book, the opening attack, and its immediate aftermath it made me sort of sit up straight. So not only as they look around, there are no bodies of the Wendell, and not only that, to make things worse, out of the group of 13, three of them are already dead,
Yeah, three of them got
and two
killed.
of them and two of them are wounded, although not fatally. I just thought, holy heck, when I read that, our good guys are in a lot of trouble. It's because initially my first impression was that they weren't able to kill any of them. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's how do they win from here? You're telling me after all that hacking and slashing, we didn't manage to off a single one of theirs? I'm thinking, like, I got goosebumps reading that.
Well, not to
Um,
mention, like when they were like when Beowulf was just checking out his sword then and cleaning it up, like they know they hit something, but there's not even apart from the blood they just washed off their own blades. There's literally no evidence that they even wounded one.
yeah, it was a really intense moment in the book and film, yeah, because we're still not sure yet why that was the case. Is it because they're unkillable? Is it because um, or whatever the reason? It's yeah, just such a great moment.
Well, you demoralize the group, right? Like that's half the
Yeah,
battle won
absolutely.
right then
Yeah,
and there. Like if you take away their spirit, they're going to be easier to kill.
yeah. When nearly half of your group is dead or wounded, and that's just the first fight. Um, yeah, just really upping the stakes and even more tension. And this is really cool as well, fortifying the town now, which is what they do in the book as well, shoring up all the defenses.
Well, because like obviously prevention is the best medicine here. So like if you can flat out stop them from getting in, maybe we don't have to fight them again. Because it didn't quite work. Like I hate to rain on your parade, but we just got our asses kicked, pal.
Yeah, that's right. One of the they're not all that fleshed out greatly, but I did get the names. So Ronith, Helga, and Ethgo were killed. Halfat and Reftal were wounded. I think one was wounded in the ear, and I think another one picked up a hand injury, I think, from memory.
Yeah, didn't they just
But
cut his hand off like completely?
yeah, I wasn't sure of the extent of it. But yeah, the initial count was yeah, they'd already lost three and two of them had been wounded. Oh yeah, there he is. He's got the bandage there now.
Yeah, that's right. I love how Ibn plays to his strengths here because like he makes a mention that the sword's too heavy. Like when he
Yeah.
took a swing with it, his entire body went with it. So what does he do? Well, he crafts something that's a bit more feasible for a bloke of his stature because he is the smallest of the group. So using a
Yeah.
giant claymore probably isn't the most efficient.
Yeah, that's right. It's some sort of, is it a scimitar? These curved, or a rapier maybe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure of that.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
really cool.
and then
Oh, look at
and
that.
then you see all of a sudden he can do it with one hand. I really like that. Yeah. And there's no, I mean, like, there's probably a reason why this bloke was cast as Zora. I'm willing to bet it's because he actually does know how to twirl a sword around for real. Um,
Yeah, and he's great in that as well. I love both of those movies. Yeah, he's given me a lot of value over the years, Antonio Banderas.
yeah. I mean, I tell you, that one Wendell man just totally raked his face. I
Yeah.
mean, you can hardly even notice it. Yeah, I think she's dropping some signals here. But like all he got was a little love tap, you know what I mean? Like the other guy's hand needs like reconstructive surgery, and that's not an option for like another 1,000 years yet.
Yeah. And also I kind of missed it at the time, but Wendell's arm was severed. And that's a bit of a callback to the original story of Beowulf, where I don't know, I can't remember if he cuts it off or tears off Grendel's arm and hangs it in the hall. And that incurs the ire of Grendel's mother. So they're sort of setting up these three sort of big fight sequences in this story as well. But yeah, she's not there's nothing subtle about what's going on here.
Yeah, but this is what I love the most, and people wonder why the dating culture scene is the mess that it is now, because this sort of thing still happens, I believe, and that is, no matter how many hints you drop, both of them are just useless when it comes to crossing the line. I think that's our main
Yeah, more
problem
than
more than
likely.
anything else.
Yeah, yeah, more than likely.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I love, so what, we're setting up all these moats now.
Yes. And the king's son, who's this skeevy, sketchy dude, is trying to sort of angle himself in between Beowulf and the king.
And you can't help but just go, well, look, man, if you were so cut out for this, then why even bring us here? You got to ask that.
Yeah, I like this little trap they set for him.
See, but like, and that's another thing that I think really backs up. Again, one of the first things that Ibn says, and like it's my job to talk to people. Now, while he's got the language down pat, the sort of the nuances and stuff are still lost, and this whole deception that goes on here, he learns more about communication in that vein. So like he's
Yes, that's
still
right. Yeah.
developing that skill after we take this bloke's head off. Like he's learned another sort of layer of communication in that aspect. Like
Yeah,
like in a strategic sort of manner. Like he's still refining that skill.
yeah, just sort of, yeah, by astutely observing.
Yeah. I mean, even though like he does flat out interfere like several times in it. Yeah, and engineering I actually do quite like that line. Like this was going to HR back then. I remember hearing someone say once they rank fight scenes pre and post The Matrix, because like long takes and massive choreographed sequences and all of that weren't really a thing until Matrix had done it. And I mean, like you can put Phantom Menace in there as well if you want to. Both, just so happened to be this year, but this very much was a dying sort of way to do fights, wasn't it? When this was coming out,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I've sort of come full circle. Now I prefer a really nice short fight, because I find long drawn out fight sequences, unless I'm really invested in the characters in the story, which I very rarely am these days, protracted fight scenes just bore me. Whereas I sort of go in for more short, sharp, intense fight scenes now. It's a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I think that's what the Star Wars sequel trilogy did do right. The characters in there aren't really noted swordsmen. I think like Kylo Ren's the only trained warrior. The rest of them just sort of swing and hope for the best. It's sort of what I like about him, and it reveals a little bit of character. Whereas if a film just isn't working for me, like big battle scenes and big fight scenes, I just sort of get bored with them. Whereas if it's a bit more intense like this one, I tend to enjoy it a lot more. How they're just sort of swinging and just sort of crashing into each other. Like the like there's nothing graceful about the T800 and the T1000. They just smash into each other, and
yeah.
you feel every blow because you're so invested. Whereas if a story isn't working or a film isn't working on that level for me, yeah, I'm just sort of right. Can we just get on with it, kind of thing.
I
But yeah, I love
actually
these.
think what helps here is that there's all these brief intermissions between the action here. Like they have these little respites. Um,
Yeah, and there's an ebb and flow to it.
and I actually quite like it when a fight is abruptly ended like that. Just bang, off with the
Yeah,
head. That's it. That's all she wrote. And he goes back to work. Um,
yeah, and
like,
then you realize they set him up. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
I love that just dead inside, no color in the face look. Uh, like, yeah, I love doing that, to people. Like, when you give them a real gotcha moment.
Yeah, the best example was probably it's called Escape from Absalom or No Escape. It's a Ray Liotta movie where they're gearing up for this big fight to the death, and he just pegs the sword straight at him and just kills him, his opponent.
It,
Very, very memorable scene.
it reminds me of Bill's death in Kill Bill Volume 2 and how everyone hated it. I thought it was perfect. Just bang, he's
Yeah,
out cold. That's it. That's all she
yeah,
wrote. I mean, because, like, you
yeah,
think about it, the bride's done nothing but think about taking this prick out for such a long time. Like, of course she's not going to screw around. Of course he's done.
yes,
Like his heart is nowhere near as in it as much as hers is. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I love fights that are over quickly. I just hope to God, in some alternate reality, that's how Thanos went out. Just straight away, bang, that's it, done.
Yeah.
No 3 hour runtime, just off with the head. We need to do that more. Um, I think. I actually didn't mind this bloke here up in the tree. I mean, it was
Yeah, it's a bit of a thankless job, isn't it?
yeah, it was an interesting strategy. Yeah, then no sequel for you. I always love the sword, mounted on the back. I mean, you keep the scabbard on the back, and I love when they go overboard with it. Like one example that sticks out to me was Twilight Princess when Link gets the Master Sword and he still has it sheathed on his back, but how massive the Master Sword is and Link's small stature, there's no actual way he could use it in that manner. But it's just a
Yeah,
video game. I don't really care. But I love it when it's too big for their physique. But they do it
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Final Fantasy's all over that shit.
Oh, yeah, like where the weapon is like 6 times the size of the guy.
Yeah, yeah,
But you know what? That's a series that has fantasy in the title. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I mean, we got to take it for what it is. And this
yeah,
was awesome. This, like, I actually
yeah,
had to do a double take here because I thought they were near a volcano for a second.
yeah. It's another one of my favorite moments in the film and favorite moments in the story because yeah, the build up to the glowworm dragon Korgon, you're thinking, holy heck, what the hell is on its way? And it's very, very clever. Um, Crichton's take on it because you think, as I mentioned earlier, it's a more sort of grounded take on Beowulf. So I'm guessing it's not an actual dragon per se, but still, and this is all true to the story. They see this serpentine flame twisting and turning its way down the mountain. This is all very, very faithful to the story. I'm thinking, what the heck is it? Um, it's terrific. And Ibn Fadlan, he has the realization it's this army of mounted cavalry with flaming torches. So cool. I was yeah. How clever is that? Michael Crichton, just God bless him. Stand up and take a bow. How clever is that?
It's literally just an army marching.
Yeah,
Is
that's
is
right. And we're
is what
getting
it is.
yeah, and we're getting the again more clues there. The Wendell there, they have their own sort of crude sort of military hierarchy and yeah, like there's some order and some hint of civilization. It's just tremendous, yeah. Such a cool concept.
I love how the mist travels with the Wendell.
Yes, it's really
It
cool.
reminds me of like the Mordor orcs and how Mount Doom Sauron just gets it to perpetually erupt so it can block out the sun so they can travel further than just stay around Barad-dûr. It's like similar thing here going on. I love how the mist is just traveling with them and sort of paving the way to just go into
Yeah,
Morgoth and finish the job.
yeah, yeah. It's so real. Yeah, just really well done.
Fireworm.
Yeah, the fireworm, the glowworm, Korgon.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, can you imagine the numbers that that would need to 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 have that sort of clear to the point where your mind's eye would like mistake it as an actual snake,
Yeah, that's right.
like
And
from that distance with
it's
the naked eye. Like there'd have to be shitloads of these things
yeah,
to
and
do
it's
that.
interesting. Yeah, and it's clever because it's a case, and this film has a lot of examples of it, how the culture clash, the difference in cultures works. If I'm from another country and another land, and if I was watching this battle from a distance and saw that winding its way down the mountains, preparing to unleash hell, I would I wouldn't be able to articulate what I was seeing. I'd have to compare it to a dragon or something that I was familiar with.
Mm.
And these stories, it's what Robert Jordan talked about with the Wheel of Time. Stories change as time, not only in terms of distance by time, but in distance of how far you traveled. So the further you are away from something, and the farther away that that thing actually happened, the less understanding you'd have of it. So it's a really cool example of the culture, the difference in cultures actually working. Because yeah, like a story, an event like this, like the tale of it would, yeah, it would be a tall tale overnight as it traveled through the villages and out into the world.
Yeah, look, man, I'd need to change your pants after that.
Yeah, and terrific Jerry Goldsmith music as well.
I was gonna say the score in this was like I put this right up there next to Hollow Man in terms of I mean Jerry Goldsmith hasn't really ever served up a turd, um, but this was very impressive. The soundtrack here, I do quite
Yeah,
like the theme
very
for the
memorable.
13.
Yeah, yeah, and this sequence in particular is right up there as well.
And I love the passage of time there. Like we saw them coming down the mountain, and it was still like there was still sunlight out. Now it's pitch black, and now they're on the doorstep, and there's another one has bitten the dust.
Yeah, 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 just these sheer overwhelming numbers.
Well, that's really what it is. I mean, do you remember that line with Peter in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? When that centaur says to him, numbers don't
Mm,
win a battle, and then Peter's like, no, but I bet they help.
yeah.
And like you're seeing that now, like there's just way too many of them. Like strategy be damned. I mean, you can put up a decent fight, but I mean, they're gonna wear you out in some way. There's just simply too many of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I love the sort of obscurity. Like, here's our main character fighting one on one now with like a member of the Wendell, right? And,
Yeah.
and only just now have we gotten an actual look at one. He's
Yes.
actually shocked that it's just a regular man.
Yeah, it's a huge revelation, yeah. Um they're not monsters. They're Neanderthal men, yeah. Again, how clever is that? My God, Crichton, I just miss him. What a genius. Just that is okay. I'm running out of nice things to say about him. It's what a clever, cool concept.
Like even the way they move is not so much human, is it? Like they're scurrying around on all fours. They're like just the way they move,
Yeah.
like as well. It's just so eerie. I mean, I actually, like just sort of getting taken up with the moment of this. And I think you're right. Wearing the bear's heads as those sort of helmets is the real sort of like it's very intimidating as well. Like you'll just see this row of bear teeth running at you,
Yeah.
like anything to just sort of take the heart of the enemy.
Yeah, that's right. Just that. And that's the sort of the eyewitness reports that the 13 warriors encounter. So when they're asking what are they like, and yeah, they are compared to bears in the early chapters of the book, and again, it's a plot point that does get explained when they sort of wear this sort of bear coverings into battle. It's really cool.
Not to mention, can you imagine just how much of a pain in the ass they would be to see in daylight?
Yeah,
Like when they're like that and in these like forest and greens and red oaks and all this kind of stuff, like you would never know that there was one there until it was too late.
yeah, that's right. Much like when they explored the deserted village, there was one right there watching them, and they had no idea.
I actually quite like that, like attack them under the cover of darkness. Well, I don't even think these guys need to. It's similar to
Yeah,
the strategy in The Dark Knight Rises. Like, oh, why does Batman attack Bane at the end of the film in broad daylight? Well, he already tried fighting him in a sewer after he EMP'd all the lights, and it didn't do anything. So,
yeah,
like, there's
yeah. So he
there's
just gave up the pretense.
yeah, just entirely give it up, and I think these guys can do the same thing. Like, like daylight or not, like they've got that advantage. Like they're what like in their face paintings and their body coverings.
Yeah, yeah. They definitely won that round. Um,
Like far out. So what
yeah,
did they kill two or three more?
yeah. I believe so. Yeah. So they're down to about five or six now. Yeah. Um, which is the impetus for this sort of all or nothing mission into the caves next for the next stage of the story.
And I want to point out that is the second time, by the way, that Ibn has fallen into that creek.
Yeah,
Like he fell into it when he was putting it up, and he just got knocked into it again.
yeah. It's something I've read in a few stories with sort of wars and battles. Their bodies are just so amped up. They just continue to swing and fight even when the battle's over. I've seen this sort of phenomenon in a couple of stories I've read as he emerges from that swamp, that sort of moat.
I suppose it would be a bit hard to turn off. Like, after
Yeah, your body
you've
is
had
just
just
surging with
that much,
adrenaline.
yeah, that much cerebral stimuli, the adrenaline,
Yeah,
like
the fight or flight response.
you'd still be in that, like, because you don't just snap out of that, like that. You
Yeah,
have to come down from that.
yeah,
Look, I think he's earned himself a bit of a drink now. Um,
yeah, yeah. Bonding with Herger.
it's very Seven Samurai in a sort of way, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that this afternoon, and yeah, the Guns of Navarone and
Yeah.
the Dirty Dozen and these sorts of movies. I've of a mind to seek out a few more of them this weekend, because yeah, I was thinking very much the same thing this afternoon, getting ready for this.
Yeah.
It's very much the sort of Seven Samurai-esque vibes from it.
Well, it is like they do their thing, and they go to a village, they try to help it out, and slowly but surely they all start getting killed off.
Yeah,
It is what it is. um, yeah, but I love that sort of group ensemble mercenary sort of thing, and it's
yeah,
just every other job, and then they don't ever seem to think that they're going to end up like like look at the other 12, very seasoned warriors in their own right, and they've never really had anything go too sour for them, and all of a sudden three of them are just whacked. Like then it finally does happen, and they don't know really how to deal with that situation.
yeah.
It's what people need, I think, need to start doing more. Oh yeah, well, there's no way to take care of this character. They're boring. They're perfect. They do everything right. Well, you got to start putting them in situations where it ain't so cut and dry.
Yeah, and I was sort of pleasantly surprised. It didn't. I was just assuming watching the film that a romance would develop with the king's daughter and him, but it doesn't go near there at all. He sort of develops a bond with the peasant girl. So I was really surprised at that.
Yeah, well, he hasn't got the ambition for it.
And this scene here as they examine the Wendell's body, so we do get confirmation they're not unkillable. And what was going on at the first battle is that the Wendell collected their dead before retreating.
I think this goes without.
As
Yeah, I think this goes without saying, but they also retrieve their wounded as well. But
yeah,
like the thing that pops into my mind is, well, the only reason you take back a wounded soldier that can't fight anymore is just so you can cannibalize them.
yeah. Um, and yeah, it just sort of adds to their sort of intimidating reputation when they leave no traces.
It really is the "if it bleeds, we can kill it" line, isn't it? Of the film when they check out the Wendell's body. I actually quite like that Darth Maul setup that he had going with the blacks and the reds.
Yeah, yeah, the sort of those sort of aggressive colors.
See, but like this, like just to you know bring up because like this is a good example of what I was talking about at the start of the movie. Is that although it's Beowulf inspired and all of that, like again,
Hmm.
the film isn't really about him. It's more of about Ibn's account of the events that
Yes.
transpire, which just happened to feature Beowulf. Like although it's taking on that mythology, it's not really about it. If that makes sense, like it flirts and dances around with it, but it's not really about it.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up perfectly. And yeah, I couldn't have put it any better. And it's another reason why it's so clever. As much as it's about Beowulf, it's not really about him. You're 100% right. And which is a nice twist. It's always one of the challenges of doing your own version of Beowulf is putting a new, unique spin on it.
Yeah.
And Crichton certainly did that by combining the Ibn Fadlan manuscript with a retelling of Beowulf. That's what unlocked the story for him. He was sort of trying to find a way in to do Beowulf, and it wasn't really sort of germinating. But having the idea of a lost manuscript by Ibn Fadlan, that it all sort of clicked into place after that, and he had his plot and his story ready. Because yeah, like we mentioned, there's been a lot of stories about Beowulf and different adaptations. And I mean, it's a free for all. Anyone can do it. It's yeah, it's a story as old as time. But I guess the challenge is how do you make it unique and fresh
I
when there's been so
suppose
many different versions of it?
and not to mention the amount of sort of rivals that that legend has these days. Like I mean, like there's new clones and stuff like that, and sword and
Yeah,
sorcery stuff. That's like there's no shortage to them, you know. Like we just had a decade of Game of Thrones, you know. So
yeah,
every time you take another crack at it, there's a whole new wave of things that it's got to compete with. So
yeah.
doing
That's
this sort
right.
of
Yeah,
semi-historical take on it probably was the only way at the time to do it.
yeah. Very much so. Yeah, because yeah, it's another great point. Yeah, because if you the challenge of any new adaptation is yeah, look at everything that's come in between, and it's more of a reaction to that as well as doing your own thing
Which is what I think
as
the
they
'07 Beowulf film was. Like, I mean, you think about we just came out of Lord of the Rings, you know, and Harry
yes,
Potter was
yeah.
really big. So I'm like, 'cause I'm pretty sure that what it was almost like a motion capture animated take on it. That
Yeah, I've only seen it the once, but yeah, it was yeah, something in the vein of like the Polar Express or something
yeah,
sort of yeah, that sort of realistic CGI where yeah, they had the real actors, but they're like computer models. It was yeah, it was a bit different that movie. I do remember it, but I've only seen it the once. Because I remember Angelina Jolie as Grendel's mother in that.
yeah, and I think Anthony Hopkins is in there as well somewhere.
Yeah, is he the old king?
Uh,
Rothgar, I think.
I think he is, yeah. I
Yeah.
bet. Hey, it's been a million years since I've
Yes,
seen
I
that as
know.
well.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But what I
Um,
remember about it was that it pretty much was balls to the wall, non-stop action, and
yeah,
Beowulf was
because I
cutting guys'
believe
heads off like it was going out of fashion.
yeah, I think Grendel attacks. The first attack is like the first scene that the in the opening. I remember. Yeah, but
Well, you got to look
I
at
I
it. I
have
mean,
made
if it came out in '07, I mean, we just had a Masters of the Universe reboot a few years before that. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it would have had some heavy competition. It would have just gone all in on it.
yeah. The yeah, I do have to make a mental note to seek out the '07 version again and
Yeah, I might
see
have to
what I
check that
think.
out this weekend. Yeah,
Because I
it's
forget,
been a
yeah,
hundred. Like, I probably haven't seen that since '07.
yeah, I can't even remember who played Beowulf in it. Yeah, like, yeah, have no idea as they explore this Wendell stronghold.
And I love the architecture of it. Just keep it so primitive, so bare bones. Like they're eating raw fish and
Yeah,
stuff like that, and it's just like just bits of leather wrapped up as a tent. Like it's like everything's made out of bone. Like
yeah,
it's just make it such an like it's something that I've always loved, be it video games, movies, whatever. I've always loved locations where they've done such a good job with its description or its set design or whatever the case may be that just makes you so uneasy that you just want to get in, do the mission, and get out. Like,
yeah,
one that always popped into my mind was the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time. Every time I go in there, I just feel so uneasy and I want to get out. And this set does a very similar thing. Like it gives you the sense that the troubles of the world before these people of different walks of life had met their sort of civilization standards and all of that. Like these dark age man hunger, creating fire and all of that was sort of still ongoing, and the bloodshed around the Wendell and God knows what other like cultures they might have even eradicated in the time.
yeah.
Like the world's always just sort of been uneasy because they've been around, and like this place
Yeah.
just creeps me out.
So the film really keeps the pacing of the movie full steam ahead now. In the original story, after they've explored the Wendell village, they find another idol of the pregnant, limbless body of Grendel's mother. But they then go back to Hrothgar, and Beowulf has a meeting with some dwarves who are kind of these wise elders who counsel him to sort of strike at the heart of the mother in the caves. And it's one of the departures from the book. In the book, they abseil down the cliffs using these kind of sealskin sort of ropes, kind of a primitive form of abseiling down. I'm guessing it would have been too complicated or expensive to shoot, so they sort of compress the timeline a little bit. After they've explored the stronghold, they find the key, the way into the caves, and yeah, yet another um, statue of this idol that they revere. And snakes, my God, there's lots of snakes in the book. Um, the mother's surrounded by just yeah these snakes that are everywhere.
Look at all of this. Like
Yeah, I
screw the
know.
bone
Yeah,
temple, man. I'd run like my ass is on fire.
yeah,
If
isn't this terrific? Yeah, so eerie and unsettling.
Well, yeah, they're skulls of children, aren't they?
Yeah, they seem to be all shapes and sizes. Yeah, but
Uh,
yeah, really
God.
unsettling.
Yeah, so let's go in deeper.
Yeah, what balls?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go out, that's how you go out. I mean, you don't want to be
Yeah.
remembered for what you didn't do. Um, yeah, but like they just sit there like statues, man. Like let's rule out aliens and let's stick to what we know. Like they're almost like androids.
Yeah,
They just like it's almost like they're programmed to just get up, kill, go back, sit down, recharge.
yeah.
So what is there, 4 or 5 of us still?
I think there were five, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I think there's five. Here we go. Switching to full balls mode, mate. Well, I suppose when you're that far in, like, there is no real going back now, is there? I mean, like, you kind of got to see it through
Yeah.
when you've committed to the backflip this much. You've got to go through with it.
Yeah, both thematically and sort of storytelling wise. When you're in the final act, just yeah, pin the ears back and rush to the end. So we're getting a somewhat um sort of adaptation, yeah, because there is a sort of protracted sequence in the book where they um abseil down the cliff and then swim in underneath.
So we're
And
getting
and
the
there's
sort of
some
the waterfall inside the cave, and we'll just lapel down.
yeah, and because it's interesting, like th this is not easy to do, so they need the strongest, heaviest guy up the top supporting the others, and then he has to abseil down by himself with no support when he's already tired. So there was a bit of because everyone's going, you need to go down first. It's like, nah, screw that, man. I can pull my weight up. Look, dickhead. He's the strongest and heaviest. He's got to stay up there. You're a scrawny ass. You're going first. Um, there was a bit of to and fro argy-bargy like that in the novel.
It reminds me of that moment with Morristein Wint in Cubed when they get to the edge. Righty, I'm going to go out there and have a look. Tie that rope around me. Like, you weigh like 230 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way that's going to work. It reminds me of
Yeah.
Stephen Curry in Stupid, Stupid Man. When there's a fire in the office, I'll put your wheelchair in the lift, I'll carry you down. Carry me, you. Yeah, well, just be careful, the air current may tip them off.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing, though, I mean, like, when you've got the cover of the waterfall, though, like, your noise gets masked by it. So,
Yeah,
like,
it's quite
splashing
clever.
in there and unsheathing swords and metal clanging, like, they're not going to notice that over the water.
Yeah, using the waterfall as cover is really smart tactics.
Well, you got to take what you can get. I mean, and like the worst part about the whole thing is that they got their asses kicked on their own turf. They're in the heart of
Yeah.
their civilization now. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, stealth is probably paramount here because I mean, head-on fights haven't quite been working out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just hoping you can catch them off guard and you
Yeah,
can take out
opt for a
their
stealth.
leader.
These two opt for a stealth approach. Just for another John McTiernan movie, that moment in Predator. Like they
Yeah.
have Dutch dead to rights, but they opt for a stealth approach. Yeah, well, I suppose like when we were talking about like when their first encounter, three of them were killed and two of them were injured, and there was no evidence that they'd even done any damage to them.
Hmm.
After getting the confirmation that it was just a regular guy, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it sort of sparked them back up again. Well, then they can be killed just as easy. Like they don't have that sort of fear anymore about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a crucial breakthrough when they're able to examine one of their fallen and really nut out what it is that they're dealing with. It kind of yeah gives them a bit more confidence that they can match them despite severely outnumbered. Because yeah, they can be killed.
Nice ink. Okay, so they've been collecting the heads of the other 13.
I was surprised by the design of the mother. Not quite what I pictured in my mind, but Crichton's kind of vague with some of his descriptions. He really wants the readers and by extension the viewers to have their sort of own imagination, but the snakes are definitely there. Um, and Beowulf or Bullerwife is yeah, goes toe to toe with her and is able to vanquish her.
Take her out.
There's yeah, there's a whole lot, but he is sadly fatally poisoned. It's a and it's still ambiguous. because some of the sources I'm told in the book are fictionalized. Um, there's an
Ooh,
appendix in the closing pages about the mist monsters being the Neanderthal men. The sort of the conventional wisdom at the time was that Neanderthal men had disappeared about 35,000 years ago to be replaced by Cro-Magnon men.
yeah.
Um, the general assumption was that the superior modern Cro-Magnon men had killed off the Neanderthals, but there may have been a sort of long lost tribe living there, and so my copy, my edition of the book was reprinted in uh, I think 2012, but there is a foreword or an afterword by Crichton from a 1992 edition where he said at the time they were sort of making a lot of discoveries. Uh, I believe there was a discovery that they found that Neanderthal men, they had, there was evidence that they found that they did have some funeral customs that they buried their dead. So yeah, there were a lot of discoveries sort of being made that was challenging sort of conventional wisdom about sort of early proto-humans. Um, and to think that, 1992 was what, 30 odd years ago. I wonder what discoveries they made in the interim and what the conventional sort of wisdom now is.
Absolutely. I mean, 'cause, like every single day a discovery's made that totally blows open like the last century of
Yeah,
like
it's pretty
speculation.
astonishing.
Like, and it still happens today.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the coolest things about our species and the planet that we're on. Like there just seems to be no end to how far that rabbit hole goes. Like every time we get an answer, that sort of
Yeah,
nips all the
they have to
speculation in the bud. There's like like a million more questions come from it.
yeah, they have to rewrite the textbooks yet again. And I love this moment here. They think they have this great plan. We'll just follow the water to the sea. They immediately hit a dead end. I
Yeah,
loved it.
fucking dead end.
That's great. That is terrific. Because it's
you know,
kind of leading you into thinking that there'll be this big epic escape, and the music kind of swells up. There's a nah
yeah.
around the corner. That's it. Bang, we're trapped again.
It reminds me of that moment in Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson's death. Like I know a lot of people like click on it. It's Sam Jackson. It's an awesome random death when he gets eaten by a shark. But I think without the music ramping up in the background and without Thomas Jane's reaction, that scene doesn't work. Like the chest
Yeah,
flares out. He starts breathing deep. Yeah, we can do this. We can win. And that music in the background, and then he just gets
yeah,
pawned by a
just
shark.
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah, like that moment totally gave me that same vibe. Like this is almost like the DuckTales Legend of the Lost Lamp. Like
Yeah,
okay, we're just gonna swim out of here now.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got to take a leap of faith.
Well, it's. I mean, what would you rather get torn apart by sadistic cannibals or drown? Like those are the choices. Um,
Yeah.
what does Gary Busey say in Black Sheep? It's I can splatter your cortex or I can explode your heart. Which sounds quicker to you?
It is a pretty cool escape. Through
I'm
these
just a
underwater
sucker for any
caves.
time water is involved. Like I mean, like I
Yeah,
know we were talking about night shoots just before, but I've always thought, yeah, shooting stuff underwater would be a real pain in the ass as well.
yeah, it's really cool, this escape.
Just this sort of savage labyrinth that
Yeah.
that they were wrapped up in. I tell you, hasn't this guy been hitting the bottle quite a bit?
Yeah, what the old king.
Yeah, every time it cuts back to him, he's either just chucking out an empty or he's just cracking a new one open. Like, it's,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I can't point fingers or anything, but this bloke, he's going for an all-time record. Like, no wonder Beowulf had to get, like, right up in his ear when he first met him, because he couldn't understand a goddamn word he was saying. I actually quite, you know, I guess a lot of people call it a cop-out these days, but I actually don't mind because it's a very cool lesson, like, it's the old price of victory, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Like, while he did kill the mother, like,
he
it was at the price
was
of
marked for
himself.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's probably one of the reasons why the story has lasted as long as it has. Like no good deed goes unpunished, I suppose.
Well, I hate when scumbags win, right? I mean, it seems to be becoming a more and more popular thing to end with the villain winning, because why not? I mean, like, if I wanted that, I'd just turn the news on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want the hero to sort of have a moment. I don't mind
Yeah.
this because, like, as I was, like, saying, and sort of my point been for the film is that, again, it's not really about Beowulf. Now he's more of a victim of circumstance in this finale, whereas Ibn is our main character. He's our point of entry here, and he does
Yeah.
live to fight another day.
Yeah.
And also, like, see just how far removed he is from his own culture at this point. He's not even dressing the same anymore.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of time he elapses. Yeah, he spent a lot of time with the Northmen.
Yeah, like, he's even, like,
Um,
adopted their customs now. Like, he's not even acting remotely like himself as he was at the start of the film.
yeah. Yeah, and it's all subtle, isn't it? You either pick up on it or you don't.
Well, I
Like it
quite
never
like
beats
that.
you over
Yeah,
the head with it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
like a visual
absolutely. Just how,
representation of a developed character,
yeah,
and a very simple way of doing that is their wardrobe. Like, he's not wearing
yeah,
headdresses anymore. He's not wearing turbans anymore. He's not wearing the sort of regal clothing that was like sort of customary in Baghdad or anything. Like, he's not doing any of that anymore.
yeah,
Um, yeah, like, it's a very simple and effective way in a film to show a character's growth is just change their wardrobe, which was something that did kind of annoy me about things like the sequel trilogy. Like, I mean, Rey does have a costume change in the midway point, but she looks exactly the same in the finale as she does at the start. Like, and
yeah,
I hate stories that do that. Look at Ibn now compared to him at the start of the film. Man, just inject that shit into my veins.
yeah. It's really cool,
It
and it's
literally
another
costs
great.
nothing to do it, though. Like, it literally costs nothing to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think they pissed them off. Look at them gearing up now
And I love
and
how they
swarming
just,
them.
in a very similar fashion to the boy who stood on the bow of the boat so that they can be seen. You'll notice that the Wendell are just literally standing there like statues now so they can be seen.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a terrific. Yeah, Beowulf's final appearance, how it just sort of galvanizes and has this rallying effect on the remaining warriors. It's yeah, it's a really cool moment in the story as well, and they really did a good job adapting it. Where you think that's all she wrote, but he makes one final appearance to to really rally the others for one. Just hold on one more time.
Well, that's
Just
sort of the. Yeah.
vanquish this lieutenant, this field commander of the Wendell, and that's it. That'll break them.
Well, it's literally cut the head off the snake, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean, like, it's
yeah,
not really about fighting. Like, as you were saying just before, like, Neanderthals had their own funeral services and all that kind of stuff, and that fundamentally changes like the very definition of one if they were civilized enough to be able to do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
like it's not really about killing them all. You just got to kill the ones that matter, and the rest of them will just
Yeah.
scatter after that. There'll be no sort of hierarchy or any structure to what can be considered their civilization. So yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, the mother's dead. Just take out that lieutenant, and then they're all screwed.
Yeah. Look at him. He can't even believe his eyes.
I've always wanted to try you.
I think I can take you.
You know what? This reminds me of the bloke that shirt fronts the villain in American Ninja 2. Like, I mean, just have a poison Beowulf come out and going, yeah, no, I've got one more in me. So like, boosting morale is a big point of this, like of this
Yeah.
film. Like, I can't actually believe just how heavy-handed it is with that theme.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great moment in the book as well. Because yeah, once they sort of reveal that Beowulf has been poisoned, I was just thinking, well, that's it. Yeah, he'll be bedridden until he dies, but to see him sort of appear right at the end again was terrific. Give that character the send off he deserves.
Like, I love how like they're all sort of joined together in prayer here, but I love how the sort of the mysticisms and the superstitions of everything has really been dialed back towards the tail end of the film, and now they're
Yeah.
really going off of what they can see and hear. They're going off of things that are very tangible now, like knowing
Yes.
that the Wendell are in fact people. They can be killed. They've already killed the mother and all of that. They've like they've learned about their sort of like tokens of worship and all of that, and they've all fought civilizations that all have had those things. So like it's become less about demons and devils and all that kind of stuff. No, it's just another fight now.
Yeah. It's yeah, it does it's a terrific point. I've got a sporting analogy I'll make about that. Maybe when the credits roll, because it's a very good point you've made then about sort of human nature and our perception of others.
Yeah, it's going heavy with the bloodshed now, isn't it? Far out. um,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? I think Beowulf should have just channeled a little bit of McBain. Yes. And to think, like, for a sort of medieval themed film like this wasn't all that far removed from things like First Night.
Yeah, yeah, that's another good movie as well. I like that movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, what? It was about, like so years
Yeah, because
between
I
the
think
two of
that
them.
was yeah, and yeah, it's that's
29 year
something
old
I'll
now,
touch on as
Jesus.
well as the credits roll because I think that was successful in a way that this one wasn't at least commercially. But yeah, um, as Beowulf is going to take out this lieutenant. Yeah, I really hope. Um, yeah, I don't want to cop a lot of flack for. Yes, I understand his name is Bullwife, but it just made it easier for me to understand the movie and the book if I just sort of referred to him as the traditional name.
Well, I
But
think
I,
by and
I
large,
like Crichton acolytes. Like I love the bloke. It's yes, I do understand his name was spelt and pronounced slightly differently.
yeah,
I just love the bloke.
it's like, yeah, like it's slag and slug. Like, I know the name's changed, whatever. I don't really care. Call it whatever you like. I know what you're talking about. I think the
Yeah.
important thing is that people know what you're talking about. um,
Yeah.
like I'm always going to say it because like that was just how I was introduced to that sort of realm. Was
Yeah.
like when it first rocked up on my radar, pretty much was the '07 movie, and that was
Yeah.
just
Okay.
called
Yep.
Beowulf. Like all of its marketing was Beowulf, 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 and then it's always been that way. I know, and
Yeah.
like Bullwife just sounds a little bit Darrow to me. Um, like, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie. Like,
that's an expression I haven't heard in a while.
well, it does in a way. Like Beowulf just sounds like a customer you don't want to screw with. Um, I mean, like, I don't think I've ever been able to pronounce anything of Norse origin correctly in my entire life. So if people do get upset at Beowulf, well, I mean, well, I could easily start slaughtering the names of just about everything else that pertains to the
Yeah,
character.
and I heard a good comment about that. I'm not sure where, but someone said, don't criticize someone who mispronounces a word or a name because the chances are they did read it in a book. They didn't mishear. That sort of piece of advice has always stuck with me. Because you mentioned Game of Thrones earlier, I always pronounced her name as Daenerys and Targaryen until the adaptation where it's a hard G and it's Daenerys. So I remembered, I can't remember where I read it or who told me it, but yeah, someone said once that I heard, don't criticize someone who mispronounces the name because the chances are they read it in a book, which means they do read, so they're not an idiot.
Which is actually quite funny because I think J.K. Rowling said somewhere once that the T in Voldemort was actually silent. But
Oh,
the
really? Okay.
Yeah, so it was meant to be Voldemort. The T was silent. Lo and behold, the film came out and they already called it Voldemort, so you can't really
Hmm.
put the genie back in the bottle. And she just
Yeah,
ran
that
with
is
it.
interesting. Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
it's sort of the opposite of what you were saying, where the adaptation screwed it up and it's just accepted now. No, it's Voldemort. Like
Yeah.
just tough. That's just how it
Yeah.
is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, goodbye Arab. Oh yeah, well I'll miss you too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's although it's a sort of closed ending to this story, they've saved Hrothgar and um it's time for Ibn to go on. This is very true to the the book. The Ibn Fadlan manuscript abruptly ends. He gets on the boat and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're not quite sure if he resumes his mission as an emissary for the Caliph of Baghdad or if he um or what became of him. He sort of drops out of history from that point on. I'm in two minds. I on some days I like to think he did resume his mission because he said he would do that once he's helped the Northerners and they've allowed to let him go. But part of me, some days I also think, what if he just gets sidetracked by another adventure and shacks up with another group? I like this sort of running idea that he can't ever get back to his original mission. He keeps sort of falling in with these other groups that need his help.
Well,
Um,
which is a very true thing. Like I've lost track of how many times
yeah,
I've sat down to do a drawing and then I think of something else to draw and I don't finish what I started.
yeah.
Or it could just be that he misplaced the goddamn script and he couldn't find out where he put it.
Well, yeah, Crichton elaborates on that. We were robbed of an ending to his life story in a way. It's um, whether he wrote more and it's just been lost to time. I mean, yeah, this did happen over 1,000 years ago. Um, but yeah, it's up for grabs. It's left to the imagination of whoever encounters him, I suppose.
Or it
But
could
yeah,
be
it was all
it could
very
be
true to.
I reckon it could be the first time in recorded or unrecorded history of trolling. He's just like like I reckon Ibn had everyone on the hook and he knew it. Then he's like, "Nah, you don't get it," and then just stopped deliberately. I reckon he
Yeah,
was trolling us like 1,000 years ago. That's my theory.
I love it. Yeah, I like your theory better.
It's the first instance of trolling ever in human recorded history. That's
Yeah.
my theory. Print it. So, what was that sporting analogy that you were gonna mention?
Oh, yeah. So to pick up on your the point you made a few minutes ago about how, you know, like an enemy or a group of people or someone can be so fearsome and menacing, but the more you know about them and the more you find out about them, the more comfortable you get and the fear fades away and you can beat them.
Yeah.
So I think it was Steve Worrell and Border in cricket that had this idea because Australia had an imposing record over England. Like 17 years straight, they'd beaten them. And from the England's point of view, they just looked superhuman. Because Alan Border sort of said, "All right, we're not friends with them. We're not going to talk to them. We're not going to associate with them. We're going to keep the lights on in our hotel room to create the impression that we don't sleep. We're not going to go to the eating room, the restaurant, create the impression that we don't need to eat. Like in their minds, we want to look superhuman, unbeatable, like machines. And you don't do that when, like, if you're going to have a beer with the team and you go out and have a game of pool, or you go and have dinner with them and they start calling you by your nickname, and they see you walking around in your jocks in the dressing room, you just lose that fear factor, don't you? You just think, well, he is just another guy. He farts, he drinks, he's got bad breath. I can beat this guy. So yeah, that sort of point you made about, like, these people appear unbeatable. They're not once you spend some time with them or you get to sort of take a good look at them. It reminded me of that cricket story where, no, we want to keep our distance and appear unbeatable and intimidating. They did all these little tricks to try and throw England off their game, until they sort of broke through and finally won and took back the Ashes in '05. But from like '87 to 2005, they didn't win a game or a series or something like that.
It reminds me of that story that Mark Hamill told when they were gearing up for The Last Jedi. He invited Adam Driver out to lunch because he wanted to get to know what would be his on-screen nephew, the nephew of Luke Skywalker, and Adam just shot him down straight away and said, "No, I'm trying to kill you, man." In the film, like, we don't have that relationship. So it's probably better to not do that. So it looks a bit better on camera. And I reckon he was 100% right.
Yeah.
in that regard.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
So is there anything else about the film that was on your mind?
Yeah, I thought we covered quite a bit of ground tonight, and yeah, I just sort of it was a shame it did not do well, but I kind of understand the reasons sort of why, like I kind of sort of briefly touched upon earlier. I think it just got lost in the shuffle. 1999 was there's people on Reddit and there's a lot of discussions. It was the last best year for movies, just in terms of how influential so many of the movies that year came out. We had the first Star Wars movie, when people thought for a long time there would be no more Star Wars films. You had The Matrix, which revolutionized special effects and action scenes, like you talked about earlier. You had The Blair Witch Project, which ushered in the realm of found footage movies. You had Fight Club with its slick editing and filmmaking, with David Fincher. Like, these are sort of movies that changed cinema, heading into the new millennium. And I think a movie like this, which is much more traditional and conventional, just couldn't compete and got lost in the shuffle. If it had come out, you mentioned First Night, which I think was a bit more successful because it came out a couple of years earlier, around '96. I think if The 13th Warrior had come out a few years before that, before it did, it would have been much better received. But it was also a troubled production. The test screenings were not good. McTiernan left before it had been finally finished, and Crichton stepped in to do some uncredited directing work and to sort of finish it off. Interestingly, I was reading he added an extra action sequence, but I'm not sure what, because most of the action in this film was very faithful to the book. I don't think there was any extra action scenes that weren't in the novel. So that's just what I read somewhere in my research, that he added on an extra, or maybe he just sort of fleshed out the existing ones a bit more. I'm not sure, but I don't. From reading the book and watching the film, there was nothing extra in terms of action that I can think of. And in his own words, on Michael Crichton's website, in his own words, this was one of his adaptations that he was really pleased with. He said it captures the spirit and tone of the book really well. Crichton's adaptations can be a bit hit or miss, like with any authors that have had a lot of adaptations. They're a bit of a mixed bag on the whole, but Yeah, this is one of the better ones. I agree completely. They're they're terrific companions to each other. I loved reading the book. I'm glad I finally got around to it, and I'm glad I finally got around to knocking over the 13th Warrior. I've had a lot of fun tonight, so thanks.
Yeah, no, about the same. I was sold on the recommendation when you told me that it was Crichton, but not just Crichton, but it was early Crichton. And John
Yeah,
McTiernan, as you said, like I think all the ingredients were there for a movie that I pretty much needed to check out. Like using Michael Crichton as a basis. He hasn't steered me wrong yet. John McTiernan hasn't steered me wrong yet. And Jerry Goldsmith never steered me wrong. And all of those ingredients. And you mentioned it was a trouble production. I believe that Jerry Goldsmith wasn't the original composer for a while there. Um,
yeah, okay,
and he
yeah,
was brought in to sort of, give it that bit more of a sort of big blockbustery feel. Um, I might need to double check that, but I'm fairly certain that yeah, Jerry Goldsmith wasn't the first choice.
yeah, okay,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
and rescoring a film can easily take it up a level. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah, there's some sequences in particular the music really soars. So he definitely, if he was brought on board, that was definitely a smart decision, a step in the right direction.
yeah, I mean, because when you hit rock bottom, you can only go up. Um, but yeah, no, I think it definitely gets a lot more right than wrong, and I think it's you had a good analogy a few nights back, and that was every decision they made was the right one. The patient just died on the operating table.
Yeah,
And I think that really sums up the sort of climate that the 13th Warrior came out in '99. It's by no means a terrible film at all. It just got lost in the sauce of all the other things that were going on at the time. Um, and like, yeah, maybe, you strike while the iron's hot. Maybe it was a little bit too cool when it finally made its splash. Um, but yeah, I think it gets a lot more right than wrong. And like, as you said earlier, towards the end there was that you'll hear underrated and hidden gem, but very rarely do you see online criticism saying that it's flat out bad. And
yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
think I don't think it's that at all. I think it's a great time. Like especially if people love, like their swords and their mysticisms and like in particularly like Beowulf. Well, then I mean I think they sort of owe it to themselves to check it out. But I also think if people do have sort of a negative feeling towards the film, though, I mean, I don't think you can say you have your time wasted when it clocks in at a very lean runtime. I mean, if the film went
Yeah,
for about 4 hours, I could probably make that argument, but when it comes in at 1:42, I mean, like you can pretty much Netflix that away. So I reckon if they haven't checked it out yet, do it. I watched it for the first time after you chose it, and I was like, yeah, no, I was very happy that I got around to it. I'm actually quite surprised that I hadn't seen it prior. But yeah, no, 100%. It's one of those sort of headhunter things that you got to check out, and it's also good for me at least. What I really enjoyed about it was that I love seeing authors when they sort of just take that punt on something that then. And now I understand that this was 1970s Crichton
yeah,
that is the book there, but I think what happens when you mention Michael Crichton, he's pretty much known as the like sci like the sci-fi guy, the sci reality writer and all of that. So to get something that's quite divorced, like it was 20 something years before the publication of Jurassic Park. So to get something that's quite removed in around the Great Train Robbery era, Michael Crichton
mm,
was really
yeah,
nice and very refreshing. Is
yeah,
what it
yeah,
was. So like that right then and there, like I love seeing that sort of break three, and this was more like going back to the roots, but it shows you the kind of creative range that he really had, and like as you were saying, like merging the two stories together. It was quite a departure from what he's more well known for. Um, since he's been gone for almost 20 years, he's pretty much been taken over with things like Micro, the Andromeda Strain, Jurassic Park, and a lot of real sci-fi heavy sort of novellas. So to have this one sort of come back and get a little bit more exposure these days, I think it's awesome.
yeah. I love early Crichton, and the thing, what his earlier works kind of reveal is the seeds of his sort of future greatness. His books are, like you mentioned, the runtime of this movie. being very lean. So is the book. The book is really lean. If you saw it, it's barely clocks it at 200 odd pages. And so is The Great Train Robbery. I've read The Great Train Robbery. I've not seen the film. We might get around to that one day. But and I've also read The Grave Descent because he wrote some early. Because you mentioned he's known as the sort of techno sci-fi guy, but he
Mm.
also wrote crime novels under a pen name John Lang, and I've read one called The Grave Descent, and that's really lean as well. He, I think he mentioned once he wrote back in those days. He wrote quick, and they were designed to be read quick. And that's the thing about his books. Even if it's complex and detailed subject matter, you can sort of read them on the go. And there's this smarmy, snotty, shitheel thing that sort of critics and some bookish snobs like to say, like if an author's readable, as if that's a bad thing. It's almost like it's getting McDonald's, it's too easy. Like there is no higher compliment than that to be readable. Not
Isn't
like
that is
you don't want someone to pick up a book and go, "What the fuck's this shit?" Like you want something that
they
people can understand and
they
follow.
they're complaining that an author is readable? Isn't that their
Yeah.
fucking job? Like,
It's yeah, it's this smarmy criticism that I hate seeing about any author, but him in particular, it's one of the things why I think he was so tremendously successful because you can pick his books up on the go and you can it's you just sort of and because they're just so lean and tight and he gets to the point and can communicate a lot of story in sort of minimum pages. It's a real pretty rare skill. Yeah, I love going back to early Crichton because like you mentioned, he's big blockbusters later on in his career get plenty of love. It's his early stuff that sort of needs a light shone on it because that's there's some real gold in there as well, and Eaters of the Dead. And by extension, the 13th Warrior is definitely one of them.
we
So,
we need more authors. I think the big takeaway here is that we need more authors who are writing for a good time and not a long time.
yeah,
Y- y-
yeah, because I find myself just being turned off by immense page counts now, and I find as I get older, it's hard for a novel to really hold my interest. So I always appreciate like a sensible page count, just like I appreciate a sensible runtime in a movie. So I'm glad that sort of Crichton really appreciated that as well.
Well, I think my final thing there is when they say that an author is too readable. Well, I mean, like, let's look at Harper Lee, for example. Folks call me Dill said Dill. That's great writing right there. And that's To Kill
Yeah,
a
exactly.
Mockingbird, mate.
Yeah, it's like the greatest novel of all time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a passage in there written by Harper Lee that literally just says, Folks call me Dill said Dill. But nah, awesome flick. Awesome flick, and I'll definitely yeah, it's definitely got me in the appetite to check out more 70s Crichton stuff. So I might even check out The Great Train Robbery now.